Well, Philip, this does look set to be a very tense meeting today between the two.
Yeah, I think tense is the word that best sums this up. And I think also there's going to be a certain feeling between the two men of a lack of trust, especially as far as the Americans are concerned towards the Russians. Basically, because I think the Americans, the perception in the United States as far as Russia is concerned is that they say no and then they go ahead and do exactly what they said they're not going to do. And so the big question is, what are Russia's intentions as far as Ukraine is concerned, and why are they building up all these troops and military equipment on the eastern border of Ukraine by the Donbass region? Does that mean that Russia is preparing to launch an invasion of Ukraine? There have even been analysts who say, well, it won't happen right now because the weather's too bad, it's too muddy, it's too difficult, there's too much rain, the forces will get bogged down. But if they wait until the end of January, beginning of February, they may be able to invade then because everything will be frozen and getting into Ukraine will be a lot easier. So that is the feeling at the moment, which will have to try to be diffused and some kind of path moved forward through diplomacy and not through military action. From Russia's point of view, Russia knows, however, that Ukraine has a very strong military force. Ukraine has a lot of weapons that it's been given by the West, particularly since it became more Western-friendly following the election of a Western-friendly leader, and has also got lots of weaponry that it recuperated after the Soviet withdrawal in 1991. So it will not just be an easy walk into the country to take control. This will be expensive militarily, this could be expensive as far as costs are concerned, and this could also be expensive as far as the loss of lives is concerned. So some people are saying, well, look, Russia's not going to invade because it's just too difficult. So we don't know at the moment what is going to happen, but there is a very tense situation going along that border, and that will certainly be, I think, the key subject of debate in these discussions between Lavrov for Russia and Blinken for the Americans. And it appears that Lavrov has just arrived in Stockholm, ready to start those talks today.
Right. There is another situation ongoing as well that concerns Russia. That, of course, is that conflict on the border of Belarus. Might that be a topic of discussion today as well?
Yes, it certainly will be a topic of discussion, Jeannie, because the perception here is that all of this was set up and orchestrated to try to destabilize the European Union. The way that Vladimir Putin sees this is that if you can destabilize your enemy, that puts you in, or your adversary, that puts you in a stronger position. And so a lot of analysts in the West are saying, well, this is nothing more than Alexander Lukashenko, the president of Belarus, bringing in these migrants, most of them from Iraq, to stack them along the border to try to force the door open into the European Union to destabilize the EU from within, because there's a lot of discussion about whether or not to let these migrants in. There's the rise of populism, there's the rise of the far right, and this is going to split many governments over what the right approach should be. At the same time, what is the involvement of Vladimir Putin? Is he behind all of this, or is it Alexander Lukashenko who is doing all of this on his own? If you look at the small print, well, Alexander Lukashenko is heavily dependent on aid from Vladimir Putin. Russia is really Belarus's only large ally in the region. So it would be pretty strange if Alexander Lukashenko tried to do this in the back of Vladimir Putin without having Putin's support. So it looks as though it could be that Vladimir Putin is pushing Alexander Lukashenko to do this, to actually support himself and increase support for himself. But he could also say to Alexander Lukashenko, end this right now, send these migrants back home and defuse the crisis. And in that case, Alexander Lukashenko would definitely have to do this. So that's another important issue that is going to be on the table today between those talks. Could be pretty frosty, I think, Jeannie.
I think you're right. Philip, thanks for that. France 24's Philip Turle.